guys, Jay here, welcome to Eons of Battle, and I want to talk about some kill teams that Games Workshop should make. Now, Kill Team 21 has been out for almost 2 years, and in that time, Games Workshop has come out with a measly 40 kill teams. And you might think 40 kill teams, that sounds like way more than enough, but it is not, because there are a fair few teams that haven't received any new kill team love. And those are the teams I want to talk about, the teams that Games Workshop could really do some juicy awesomeness with. Now, Games Workshop has a lot of different ways of releasing new kill teams. Sometimes they're in doubles boxes, sometimes they're in the original compendium, sometimes they're in White Dwarf articles, and sometimes they even put them out for free on the community page, like the new Intercession kill team. But these are kill teams that Games Workshop has to make, and soon. The first kill team that Games Workshop needs to show some love to is the very first kill team I ever played in Kill Team 21, Normal Eldar. I was using the old compendium rules for the Eldar, and they're really bad, especially compared to a lot of the newer teams that have come out. They have some decent rules, they just don't have enough rules. A lot of the newer teams have a lot more rules, and so I am worried that when Games Workshop gives Eldar another look, they're going to just do a normal 10 Eldar warriors, maybe throw in the weapons platform, and it'll be exactly like the Eldar Corsairs or this new Dark Eldar team that's coming out in Soul Shackle. And I think that that would be incredibly lame. A lot of 10-man kill teams have a little bit of an identity crisis. They all tend to have the same operatives. You've got the comm specialist who can hand out AP. You have the medic who can medic people. You have the hero with the power sword and some sort of a plasma pistol. You have the gunner, you have the heavy gunner. And even though there are ways to tweak those teams to make some of them feel more interesting and maybe a little bit less interesting for some of the guard factions, they all feel a little bit the same, and I think Eldar actually do have a great opportunity to be very unique in Kill Team. And the way to make them unique is to use the Wraith Blade kit. Wraith Blades are those big old, not really a robot, not really an android, they're kind of a new magical thing that the Eldar have. And they're big old models on 40mm bases. They come 5 to a box from Games Workshop, and that would be lovely. I would love to see them as the other half of a doubles box, because 5 big stompy guys would be a very unique thing for Kill Team. Make Eldar a super elite team. The upgrade sprue could come with some new weapons and arm attachments so that you could have some close combat and some gunner operatives. And I think that that is a way to make Eldar really unique and feel very different from the Eldar Void-Scarred Corsairs and these new Dark Eldar guys, because another 10 Eldar would probably just feel like another 10 Eldar. But 5 big old stompy, I can't believe they're not robots, would be amazing. And speaking of amazing, another kill team that hasn't gotten much love is a little faction of Space Marines called the Death Watch. Now, the Compendium Death Watch are actually still pretty darn playable. I recently beat Sean with them in a game of Kill Team, but I think that they could also use a little bit of love. Basically, everything from the Compendium that hasn't gotten their own unique team desperately needs one, and I think the Death Watch is a really fun faction that could use an upgrade sprue treatment. And actually, the original kit from Games Workshop that you can still buy comes with tons and tons of special weapons and options, and so I think it wouldn't be a bad thing if they just decided to go with a White Dwarf team for them and let them take some of those other weapons in the box. The criminally neglected Death Watch shotgun, one of the coolest bits in all of Space Marines. I don't know a single Death Watch player who hasn't glued on some Death Watch shotguns, even though the rules for them have always been really bad, and currently in Kill Team the rules for them are pretty bad. But I would love to see a revamped Death Watch team that takes advantage of all of the available weapons for the Death Watch. That would be so cool. Currently, you just build them as a normal Space Marine squad where everybody has a bolter, one guy has a heavy bolter or the Death Watch frag cannon, which is actually an amazing gun from Kill Team. And you have the leader, who I would love to take the Xenophase blade, but it's just not as good as a standard power weapon. But I would love to see new updated Kill Team rules to make the Xenophase blade one of the most amazing close combat weapons in all of Kill Team. And if Games Workshop really wanted to sprinkle a little love on the Death Watch, what they would do is the Death Watch have a small heretical habit of stealing Xenos technology. What if they went all in on the Death Watch using stolen Xenos technology, and all of a sudden you've got one guy with a Necron sword and another character who's got like a Tyrannid's head as use of some sort of a heavy weapon, or an Eldar shining spear, not like the unit, but the actual shining spears that they carry. And a guy with a Tau railgun. That would be so amazing and so unique and so flavorful to the Death Watch that Games Workshop will never do it. But I wish that they would do it. I think that that would be a really, really fun way to make the Death Watch really unique. And speaking of another very vanilla, very gray thing for the Space Marines, the Grey Knights. The Grey Knights are still rocking the compendium rules, and they're okay, but very similar to the Death Watch. You kind of make 5 identical guys. You got your Stormbolter and your Nemesis Falchions are a good weapon, but really the Power Sword is a little bit better because you want that critical damage on a 6 instead of critical damage on a 5. But you run 5 identical guys, and they're very, very good 5 identical guys, but I want to see a little flavor. I want a little sprinkling of some salt on there. And what I want to see with the Grey Knights is really, really take advantage of their psychic powers. Right now, the Grey Knights get access to some psychic powers, better save, better shooting, and better fighting. You would never do the better fighting because you're already excellent at fighting. The better shooting is tempting, but you're already really, really good at shooting, so you kind of just go with the better save every single time. But what if their psychic abilities had a lot more abilities? What if you could do things to capture more mission actions? What if you could use psychic powers to stop your enemies from doing things? In Kill Team, Games Workshop keeps trying to make rules that can remove action points from other enemy operatives, but they never really work. Tons and tons of weapons out there have the stun rule, which that's exactly what the stun rule does. It takes actions away from the enemy, but they never really are worth it. But if the Grey Knights could just use the psychic ability to steal an action point from like anyone on the board, that could be game changing. If you know, oh, that orc is going to go and grab that objective, I absolutely know that my opponent is going to do that next activation, all of a sudden, yoink, you just steal that action point and all of a sudden they can get to the objective, but they can't flip it, they can't activate it. That would be a really, really cool thing for the Grey Knights. And if Games Workshop really, really wanted to be generous, they could also include some sort of an upgrade sprue or make a brand new Grey Knight kits, because the Grey Knight kits are very, very old, that comes with some more unique weapons. Maybe give a lot of buffs to some of those other Grey Knight weapons like the spears, the falchions, and the power swords that make all 3 of them really worth looking at, instead of just taking a look through the options and seeing which one has the best damage characteristic and then just loading up on only that weapon. Maybe they each do a little something different and a little something unique that makes them all playable, so that my Grey Knights kill team is 5 truly unique guys instead of just 5 identical guys. There's tons of room out there for every faction of kill team, and Games Workshop has demonstrated with the 40 kill teams they've come out with, but not yet for the Grey Knights. But let's move away from the Astartes for a second and talk about one of the greatest factions in all of Warhammer 40k that somehow has barely received any love in Kill Team, the Tyranid. Now the Tyranid, once again, are still rocking their compendium rules. You can take Ormagants and Termagants as one single fire team called Swarm. You can also take Gene Stealers and Tyranid Warriors. Warriors are a really, really fun pick. You get that kind of monstrous big 40mm base boss bugs that I really, really like the look of. But the Gene Stealers are really like the best of the best. They have probably the spiciest rules. There's definitely something to all 3, and I think that the compendium rules actually did a really good job of balancing being able to take all of these different operatives and different fire teams. But I think the time has come. The Tyranid really, really need a little extra spice, something unique. I am very, very optimistic that Gallo Fall, the last Kill Team box of this season of Kill Team, is going to include the Tyranids. It's definitely going to include the Tyranids and something else. Maybe squats, maybe something a little bit more exciting than the squats. But the Tyranid is what I think that they should be given, is keep their compendium rules, because they're sort of decent. I would also love to see them get White Dwarf rules so that they're just a little bit more decent. But if Games Workshop really wanted to do something spicy, Lictors or Raveners. Now in Kill Team 18, you could take 4 Lictors as a kill team, and it was a really, really good kill team. Very, very swingy because they had lots of wounds, but a really bad save, and so sometimes your guys would just survive and do tons and tons of damage and do lots of wonderful work, and sometimes they would just die because you're just rolling really, really bad on your saves. But Lictors would be a lovely thing in new Kill Team. I keep suggesting kill teams that are a small number of bodies with high wounds and high toughness, because that's something that we don't have a ton of yet in Kill Team 21. And so Lictors would be a great choice, and Raveners would also be a great choice because those models are very, very painfully old. And if Games Workshop wanted to revamp those and give us an excuse to buy new, beautiful plastic versions of some kits we already have, Kill Team would be a great excuse to do that. Even not necessarily in a doubles box. Maybe if Games Workshop wanted to just, give us a whole bunch of new Tyranid units, give them some Kill Team rules, maybe for free in a Warhammer community article, and then all of a sudden, people who will play 40k are buying this box, and people who play Kill Team are buying these new boxes. And the Raveners are a really, really cool unit that they're just not fun to buy. They're so old. Their rules are kind of old. They don't have the power that some of the newer close combat units for the Tyranids have. And so my first choice would be Raveners, and then my second choice would be Lictors. And then my third choice, which is what Games Workshop is going to do, is it's going to be Gene Stealers. But as much as I love the Gene Stealers, that kit is old and crunchy and bad. I mean, the kit came out in 2004. It's been almost 2 decades. Games Workshop, please make a new Ravener kit. Now, before I get to maybe the spiciest idea, I want to talk about something that is maybe a little on the boring side, but squats. Squats have been out for some time now, and I really do like all of the squat models. I know they're a little bit divisive when it comes to if people really like the new look of the squats or if they really don't like the look of the squats, but they need to come to Kill Team. It is obnoxious that the squats have been out for so long with absolutely nothing on the horizon for playing them in Kill Team. And that could be easily fixed by a White Dwarf or a Warhammer community article, or maybe including them in the Gallows Falls, the next box for Kill Team. But what to do with the squats? You could kind of do anything. A lot of their standard infantry and like heavy infantry and elite infantry style boxes would be great. Maybe the big Votann exo suit, exo armor egg suits would be a lovely addition. But the standard issue box for the Leagues of Votann, the regular warriors, is a Kill Team box. It is 10 guys, and you have the medic, you have the guy with the knives, you have the leader with a power sword and a plasma pistol, actually a Neo-Volkite pistol. You have all of these operatives that look tailor-made for the game of Kill Team, and yet apparently they're not made for the game of Kill Team, they're only made for Warhammer 40k. It would be that I could write those rules in an afternoon and let those models be playable. You could even take those and proxy them as like half of the Guard or the Space Marine factions in the game, and they would slot in perfectly. It makes no sense that Games Workshop hasn't dropped some squat rules for Kill Team. And every single day it doesn't happen, it just gets weirder. I mean, Games Workshop has been pushing the squats so hard, and they should, because it's one of the coolest new things to come to 40k in a long time. No rules for Kill Team. Why no rules for Kill Team? We've gone through 2 LVOs with nothing for the squats and for Kill Team. There's been months and months of White Dwarfs without any Kill Team rules. Other White Dwarf Kill Teams have come out before the squats. It is ridiculous that Games Workshop hasn't shown the squats any Kill Team love. If you haven't gotten it yet, I want to play the squats and Kill Team, but I'm currently not allowed, and I think Games Workshop has to change that. Now, another Imperium faction that could use a little loving from Games Workshop is the Adeptus Custodes, the specialist of all the Space Marines. So special, in fact, that they are not Space Marines. They're just golden Space Marines that are different. And I actually love the Custodes. I'm working on a Custodes kill team right now out of the Compendium. But Games Workshop does need to do a little something special for the Custodes. And I think Games Workshop is in a prime spot to just make that happen, because Games Workshop has sort of a little bit taken over a lot of the responsibilities for Warhammer 40k or Warhammer 30k, and a lot of the things that used to be made of resin are now plastic. One of the things that are still resin are a lot of the Custodes upgrade parts. The Ventari jetpacks, the Sagittarum shotguns, and the Pyrite spears. All those things are still resin, and if you wanted to actually buy them to equip into your Legios Custodes armies, it would cost a lot of money, but all of those bits would fit really nicely onto one upgrade sprue. And so I think a great way to make a bunch of 40k players and a bunch of Kill Team players spend a little bit of money is you make a new plastic kit that comes with all of the upgrades for the Custodes, and you give those new weapon options rules for Kill Team. I would yank the arms right off of my Custodes Kill Team if I could slot on some of the really, really cool Forge World weapons and then have unique abilities that I can use in my games of Kill Team. Right now, Custodes, the best option is the spear. There is something for the sword and shield, But really, you want 4 guys with the spears. That way you can spend every single turn double shooting and double fighting every single time. But if you had a jetpack to give one of your custodians the ability to fly, which is a huge benefit to the game of Kill Team, or if you had a melt-a-gun that could insta one-shot anything in the game, because that's pretty much what melt-a-guns do right now. But the trade-off is you have to get within 6 inches of range, which is really, really risky. Those sorts of weapon options could make the custodies really, really fun and give them a lot more unique options than currently exists. And Games Workshop is going to have to do that, because I'm sure they're not planning on forever and always leaving the custodies literally half Games Workshop and half Forge World, because most 40k players aren't really willing to dip their toes into Forge World, especially in the US when Forge World is so crazy, like 20-30% more expensive on top of the already more expensive Forge World prices. So yeah, new upgrade sprue for the custodies, and then roll that upgrade sprue right into the game of Kill Team and give us some new options. And the last Kill Team from the compendium that has yet to be shown any love from Games Workshop is the Death Guard. Now, the Death Guard have been a fan favorite faction of 40k ever since they were basically made their own faction to the Chaos Space Marines. Way back with the Dark Imperium box, that great doubles box. It did come with a lot of monopose plastic, but it was beautiful monopose plastic. And since that day, most hobbyists have had a little pile of Death Guard shame in their collections. Now, you can field the Death Guard and Kill Team. You actually can take fire teams of Poxwalkers and Plague Marines, but you never ever take the Poxwalkers because they're currently really bad. But when the compendium first came out, there was a tiny bit of excuse to take Poxwalkers, but now that they've recently got a buff where you can take 6 Death Guard in your army, or in your faction, there's no reason to take the Poxwalkers. What I would love to see, I guess I have 2 things that I want to see Games Workshop do. Number 1, just give the Death Guard more rules so that they have a little bit more options, and they definitely need ways to move faster, because the Death Guard are the slowest faction in all of Kill Team with a 4-inch base movement for all of their operatives. And so just any sort of a stratagem or a tactical ploy or a strategic ploy that can allow them to move a little bit faster would be lovely. But they also I would love to see some new Death Guard models. The Death Guard are pretty decently serviced from Games Workshop. They have a lot of fun kits, but a lot of those fun kits are just not available to the game of Kill Team. Like the little 3-treaded tank on a 60mm base, or the big flying thing with the lawnmower in the front, or the snail tank. Like, a lot of those things are fantastic, awesome units for the Death Guard, but you can't have a tank in Kill Team. At least not yet. We'll see what happens in the future, but hopefully they keep it kind of more infantry squad based. Nurglings would be a really fun choice. Make the Poxwalkers actually have some rules good enough that they are worth taking. And I could see them in a White Dwarf article bringing in some of the more elite characters, like the Tallyman, or some of the other really cool elite kind of character models. Those would slot right in and be a great addition to put that Kill Team over the top and give you some really strong, powerful punches that currently the Death Guard don't have. Right now, the Death Guard are just normal Space Marines that have Disgustingly Resilient, which is a feel no pain roll of a 5-up every single time you lose wounds. Really fun to play with in game. Incredibly annoying to play against in Kill Team because every time you do damage to a Death Guard, you end up doing just a little bit less damage than you think about. But there is totally room for new models or new rules that would make the Death Guard a lot more fun to play with and fun to play against, because right now it's just 6 guys who can take a punch and deal some decent punches, but that's it. But if they had some more rules and some more interesting strats and abilities that they could pull off on the tabletop, it would make them amazing. And that is actually it. Those are all of the compendium factions, or the things that just Games Workshop has to do for Kill Team. But after that, it'll be really interesting to see what Games Workshop actually does moving forward. Are they just going to keep sort of redoing or adding to the existing factions out there? Are they going to keep bringing out brand spanking new factions like the Adeptus Arbites? I was not expecting those guys in Soul Shackle, but there they were. And you know what else I wasn't expecting, but really pleasantly surprised by? That's right, the Eons of Battle Patreon. Over there, we make a new STL terrain pack, perfect for games like Warhammer 40k or Kill Team every single month. This month, we have the Starship Bridge, a grim, dark captain's throne room, full of stained glass and awesomeness. We also make one extra episode of Eons of Battle every single week, where we take a look at our viewers' miniatures and gives us some ideas and critiques of how to improve their painting. We host live Discord hangouts, and we have a tier where you can get your name on one of my Black Templar Space Marines and you can join the Legion. Those are my ideas for the 7 kill teams that Games Workshop has got to get a move on and make, and I am very excited to see what Kill Team 21 has in the future. Thanks for watching.